They don't want to hear you. Okay. So under here, I've got Flash opened up. I've got my scene window open, which again is under Window, Other Panels, and Scene. Or just hit Shift F2. So we're just pretending that these scenes are some wonderful animations. Let's go ahead and insert a new scene. Just click the new icon at the bottom here. And move it to the very front. You just click and drag just like anything else. And I'm going to rename scene 1 to intro. So on this intro, I can come over here to my timeline. And I'm going to add in some graphics. This part isn't crucial, but typically, you'd have some sort of graphics explaining what your movie is going to be about. So that's basically what's mine about. You can put the title up here. Yes. But then the main part here, let's go ahead and add a new layer and call that layer button. Alright, so I've got my title and my graphics set up. We just created a button layer on this intro scene. And on this button layer, we're going to put a button. And I'm just going to draw mine because I'm having fun with my lines. I wouldn't call this button. I'd call it play. So it's, you'd have a button inside of here. You can just draw a rectangle if you want to. I'm having too much fun with my brush today, so I'm going to draw this. And once you have the graphic for the button that you want to use, go ahead and select that graphic. Hit F8 on your keyboard. And we are going to convert it to a button. And I'm going to call it BT underscore play. Now this is something that we're going to pick up more in the second half of the semester. The naming scheme for Flash. Typically what people use if they're creating a button, they'll do that BT underscore to start with. What that'll do is in your library with all of your items inside of your library, it'll keep all the buttons right next to each other. And then if I create a movie clip, I'll do MC underscore. And it just helps with the organization of things. And I know instantly if I see that BT that it is a button. So I'm naming mine BT underscore play. Make sure the type is set as a button. And say OK. Then go ahead and double click on your button and set up the different states that you want. So we've done this before. This is the up, over, down, and hit state. I typically just hit F6 a few times. I am going to make my hit state larger since I used the brush tool. I would have issues with that. To get the up, over, down, and hit. Are you inside of here yet? Have you double clicked on the button yet? Yeah. Okay. So then with the up, over, down, and hit, you'll just hit F6 to move it across them. And I'm going to create a real quick down state here. The only thing I'm doing with this is I'm just creating different looks for it so that I can tell when I'm over it when I press down on it. That's it. You don't have to. Alright, so I'm going to go back to scene 1, my intro scene. And let's go ahead and give our button an instance name. If you recall, whenever you're going through and putting in your action script, because it is object oriented, you want to name the different objects that you have on your stage so that you can reference it inside of your action script. So I'm going to click on my play button here, and I'm going to come up into my properties, and under instance name I'm going to call it BT_play. And if I were to test this right now, it doesn't do anything except for play through my psychedelic animations. So the first thing we'll want to do is put a stop action script so that it does stop at this first frame. I'm going to go ahead and lock my button layer since I have the button named BT_play and it's on the stage and everything. So I'm going to lock that and create a new layer for my action script. And I typically name my action script layer AS because action script just takes too long to write. Alright, so with my action script layer, click on frame 1 and you'll hit F9 on your keyboard to pull up your actions panel. Again, the first thing I want to do on here is say stop, open close parentheses, and a semicolon. And I will make this larger because it's really small, I know. That way when I test it, it will stop on the first frame. And I can see my button. What? What indicates first frame? Because you're on frame 1 on that keyframe. Yeah, if you wanted to put action script on the 20th frame, you'd create a new keyframe on your 20th frame. Yeah. It works just like the animation does, left to right. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is stop it on that frame 1. Then the next thing we want to do is actually put in the action script to make the button, when you click on it, go to and play on scene 1 is what mine's called. Scene 1, frame 1. So if you'll recall with the whole buttons tutorial we did with action script, you need to reference the button name. So we'll say BT_play. We'll need to add the event listener to it. And I'm going to go full screen with mine. We are going to be listening for a mouse event, and we want to wait for the user to click. And we'll set up a movie, we'll set up a function called play movie. Because that makes sense. We have a 30-second movie and we want to play it. So now we'll actually set up that function. Say function. The name of the function is play movie. Now we'll reference our event in here. And if you recall, you always have to write in that void saying you're not going to be passing anything into the function. Then when we click on it, we simply want to tell it to go to and play. We've done the go to and play, frame 1, frame 10. We've even used frame labels. This right here, we're actually going to use the scene name and the label. So if we say go to and play, we're going to say frame 1. And you put the scene name in quotes. So frame 1, scene 1, or whatever the name of the first scene is that you have. if it's named scene 1. I renamed mine to intro. And I have, where's my shortcut? There we go. Yeah, so I renamed mine to intro, and then scene 1 is just scene 1. Alright. So if you were to test that, and you click play, it'll go to and start playing at scene 1. And then when it's completed, it'll loop back around to that very first scene on frame 1, and it'll stop. Now I was talking a little bit about you can add kind of an ending credits and a replay button. So instead of having it end like this, you can enter a new scene at the very end and do whatever credits you want to do on there graphic wise. But then instead of having a play button, you can have a replay button and send it to go to and play frame 1, scene 1 as well. Now if you want to get really fancy with it, or if you want to skip ahead a few scenes so you don't have to watch 10 seconds of something you've already watched while you're developing this, when you have your intro set up like this, all you have to do is go through here and say, okay, I know that scene 1's good. I don't want to watch it 50 times while I try to get all the other scenes working well. So I can come through and change this function to say go to and play frame 1, scene 2. When I test it now and I hit play, it'll go straight to scene 2, and it'll save me some time having to watch my own movie over and over again. In addition to that, you can use this setup here to go through and create chapters if you wanted to, if you wanted people to be able to skip ahead. This is helpful in presentations when you're developing like a PowerPoint presentation for a company. You can have different chapters that are consistently at the bottom of the Flash movie that they can go through and they can skip ahead if they needed to. So that's how you go through and code the intro screen. The action script automatically saves with the file. Correct. And you'll notice on the action script layer, you'll see that A on the frame. That shows you that you have action script on there. All right. So are there any questions? Yeah. Okay, well, I'll come around and help y'all make it work. But that's basically it.